Good evening. Thank you all for attending today's board meeting, Tuesday, June 20th. The time is 6:02. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, being read by Daniel Yanez, a freshman at Americas High School. Daniel?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Daniel. Superintendent's comments. Dr. Espinosa.
Yes, President Guerra and members of the board, this last week I was honored to be invited to share our district success and best practices to the Kellogg Foundation board in Michigan, and where I highlighted the outstanding work of our amazing teachers, staff, and entire community, as well as learned what other successful districts are doing to improve student success. So we continue to put Socorro ISD on the map. Again, it was with the Kellogg Foundation Board, which gave Socorro ISD $800,000 to support our WIN Academy. So it was truly an honor to be there. Now, as state academic standards increase, our district's Socorro ISD continues to rise to the challenge. Our preliminary STAR exam results show that our district continues to lead our region in student academic performance. So again, I want to thank our amazing teachers, staff, campus and district leaders, employee, organization, parents, and obviously our awesome students for working together to achieve success as a team. Also want to thank our awesome Board of Trustees up here for their support and their great leadership. Achieving success as a team is what we do best in SISD. And on that note, I'd like to recognize new members of our elite leadership team. Please stand when I call your name. Mr. Thomas Redinger is our new Director of Human Resources for Staffing and Recruiting. Mr. Ivan Ramirez is our new principal at Clark Middle School. And Mr. Jose Casorona is our new Chief of Police. Congratulations to all. We are confident all of you will shine in your new position. Congratulations. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Espinosa. Next, we'll move on to board honors. Mr. Escobar.
Good evening, President Guerra, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Espinosa. My name is Daniel Escobar, Chief Communications Officer for the district, and it is my pleasure to introduce tonight's recognitions. If you'll please step down to receive our honorees. The first recognition is in honor of a student at Specialist Rafael Hernando III Middle School who won the prestigious 2017 180 Student Award, a national honor that recognizes 15 children who have overcome personal and academic challenges to achieve success in the classroom. She conquered a medical diagnosis that severely impacted her learning and life and has made great strides with reading and academic success with the help of her teacher. Congratulations to Caitlin Yanis. Congratulations once again. Our next recognition will honor Team SISD students who won the 2017 Laws of Life, Ethics Essay, and Art Contest by the Better Business Bureau of Paso del Norte. The contest is a character-themed writing and drawing competition that encourages young people to use creativity to convey their understanding of and feelings about ethics. The students were selected out of 500 entries from across the region. They won a cash award and had their essays and artwork published. Congratulations to these outstanding students. They are from Socorro Middle, Eric Sigala. Also from Socorro Middle, Susan Terrazas. And from Paso del Norte, Dayani Delgado. Students, if we can please have you return to the front for a photo. And just a quick note that all of the photos taken by our district photographer, Mr. Largo, will be posted on the district webpage. There's a photo icon on the bottom right-hand corner where the photos can be downloaded in full high resolution. Keep smiling. Congratulations once again. Next, we will recognize Team SISD varsity softball and baseball teams for winning 2017 championships. First, we recognize the Eastlake High School varsity softball team for winning 2017 258 district, by-district, and area championships. The Lady Falcons had an amazing season and ended with an overall record of 31 wins, only 5 losses. The players also did an outstanding job representing their school and our district at the Hanks Tournament, where they claimed the championship title, and at the Canyon del Oro Tournament in Arizona, where they also excelled. In addition, 3 athletes signed letters of intent to play softball at the University of North Texas, the University of Texas Permian Basin, and the University of St. Edwards. Congratulations to these amazing student athletes. Representing their team is Jessica Apodaca, Savannah Wysocki, Casey Flores, Autumn Scott, Andrea Ayala, Christina Chiro, Alyssa Aguero, their coaches are DJ Lopez, and Erica Guerrero. Doing everything as a family there at Eastlake High School, we're also going to recognize the baseball team together with the softball players. The Eastlake varsity baseball team had an excellent season, winning their fifth consecutive 258 district title and their 4th by-district title. The Falcons' success resulted in an overall record of 21 wins, 11 losses, and 2 draws. Congratulations to these championship Falcons. Representing the baseball team are AJ Maldonado, Ryan Loveless, Keely Cortez, she's the team manager, and we have their head coach, Mark Herrera. Falcons, if we can have you all please return to the front for a photo. Congratulations once again. Next, we honor the Socorro varsity baseball team for winning 2017 by-district and area championships. The Bulldogs worked hard as a team, had a tremendous season, and successfully advanced in the playoffs. They finished with an overall record of 25-10. Congratulations to these championship Bulldogs. They are Isaac Corral, Richie Gill, Jose Israel Enriquez, Dorian Mendoza, Frankie Chavez, Chris Arras, Michael Corona, Carlos Dominguez, Isa Campa, Manny Rubio, Jonathan Rios, Brandon Pimentel, Raul Lopez, Raul Lopez, Diego Enriquez, Jesus Medina, Angel Rodriguez, Damian Zuniga, assistant coaches are Rogelio Favela, Jesus Rodriguez, Mark Steven Ortega, and they're led by head coach Jose Alvarez. If we can have you all please return to the front for a photo. Second baseman. Keep smiling, looking straight ahead. All right, congratulations once again. And just another reminder about the photos taken by our district photographer, Mr. Largo. They'll be posted on our website. There's a photo icon on the bottom right-hand corner of our webpage. It'll take you to SmugMug where the photos are available for a free high-resolution download. So our final recognition this evening will honor the Montwood High School varsity baseball team who won 168 district, by-district, and area championship titles. The Rams had an exciting season and finished strong with an overall record of 28-7. The team has had a Texas State playoff streak for 15 consecutive seasons, while winning four of the last six district titles. In addition, Coach Romo was named the 2017 El Paso Times All-City Baseball Coach of the Year. Absolutely. Congratulations to the championship Rams. They are Fernie Zubia, Miguel Soto, Eric Estrada, Anthony Chavez, Brian Rodriguez, Abraham Renteria, Tony Romero, Peter Mirano, Ulysses Fernandez. Coaches are Oscar Vera, and they're led by head coach, El Paso Coach of the Year, Willie Romo. Balance it out a little bit. Congratulations once again. And that concludes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Since we have nobody for number 5 open forum, we'll jump over to number 6, public hearing. Mr. Tony Reza.
President Guerra, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board, tonight the administration is conducting a public hearing on the proposed budget and tax rate for the 2017-18 fiscal year. The date and time of this hearing was published both in the El Paso Times and the West Texas Courier as required by state law. And the purpose of this public hearing is to provide the public with information on the proposed budget and tax rate and to allow those stakeholders to provide feedback to the governing board. With respect to our revenue estimates, they're based on certain assumptions. Those assumptions are that our property value valuation growth will be 4.10%, so that our projected values will be $8.9 billion. We're also assuming that our projected average daily attendance will grow by 1.46% to 43,665, that the comptroller's property tax division valuation of the district will be $8.9 billion as well, and that our tax collection percentage will be 99%, and that finally that there will be no increase in the overall tax rate for the Socorro Independent School District, and I believe that's the 6th year that we're going on. With respect to the revenue estimates for the general fund, we're projecting $363.8 million. That's an increase of $16.3 million, or 4.71% from the current amended budget. Primarily increases are in property valuation, so you'll see a $3.9 million increase in our local sources, as well as an increase in our state funds of $11.8 billion as a result of our increase in our average daily attendance in our Tier 2 funding. We do anticipate using $10.5 million of fund balance to balance the budget. With respect to the child nutrition program, we're projecting an increase of $1.1 million to the extent that we'll have revenue estimates of $27.2 million, or 4.35%. Primarily, the growth is in federal sources because of our anticipated increase in meals that are served in the next fiscal year. And we're also projecting a $1.8 million use of fund balance for the child nutrition program. With respect to our debt service, our revenue estimates are that we anticipate $44.8 million in revenues. That's $1.1 million over our current revised budget. Increases are primarily in our local sources, because of the increase in our property values, as well as an increase in our revenue, in our investment revenues. So we're projecting a use of $164,000 in our fund balance to balance this particular budget for the debt service. Now, with respect to the general fund's budget impacts, as you can see, in our budget, we have an increase in employee compensation of 3%, inclusive of the step for all of our employees in the teacher and counselor pay scale, as well as for paraprofessionals, auxiliary technology, and professional staff. That's a $7.2 million budget impact. We also budgeted for additional instructional personnel to meet our anticipated enrollment growth. We have also additional instructional positions for career technology education classes, for high school end-of-course classes, and for early college high school. We also, in our budget, have an additional $25 per month per employee district contribution in behalf of the employees to the healthcare fund. That impact is $1.6 million. We've also increased by $600,000 the expansion of the WIN program. We have additional operational positions due to growth. We have startup salaries for the new elementary school that we intend to complete for the 2018-19 school year. We have an increase of $800,000 in utilities, as well as additional funding for E-rate to build out our WAN network to the campuses, and $500,000 for replacement classroom furniture. So what you have here is the 3 budgets that we asked you to adopt later today. You'll have the general fund, the food service, and the debt service budgets. The total combined amount is $448,484,761. As you can see, the general fund is $374 million, the food service is $29 million, and debt service is $44.9 million. When we ask you to adopt the budget, it'll be by those funds and in that function. And what you have here certainly is the financial ratings for the district, the underlying ratings commonly known as the bond ratings. As you can see that currently we have a AA2 for Moody's and a AA for Fitch. And it's important to keep in mind that last year, one of the rating agencies, Fitch, saw fit to upgrade the district from a AA minus to a AA because of the district's strong financial position. And I think that certainly is a tribute to the guidance that's provided by the governing board as well as by the guidance of Dr. Espinosa. And I think the public needs to keep that in mind for the future. With respect to the proposed tax rate, as mentioned before, and as required by Section 44.04 of the Texas Education Code, the administration published the date of this hearing in the El Paso Times and the West Texas Courier on June the 8th. And in that notice, it listed the tax rates for, that would be approved by the board in August. For maintenance operations, we're looking at .981640 per $100 of assessed valuation. For the interest and sinking fund, we're looking at a rate of .293154 per $100 assessed valuation for a total tax rate of $1.274794. Again, that's no change from the prior year. And again, the governing board will consider approving this proposed tax rate and the resolution in August, and we'll conduct a public hearing on those rates at that time. What you have here is information concerning the surrounding school districts and their proposed tax rates. Their governing boards may or may not choose to approve these rates, but they're provided here as certainly as a way of looking at the tax rates. As you can see, Socorro ISD has currently the third lowest proposed tax rate, and certainly has the lowest maintenance and operation tax rate. And certainly that INS tax rate is really a function of growth. What you'll see is school districts that are growing, or that are growing, certainly have a higher tax rate because of most likely recent bond issuances. The exception might be El Paso ISD that just recently passed, and the Sutter ISD that passed significant bond elections recently. Okay. So what we have here is certainly as published in the Times, is the tax impact on the average resident for the Socorro Independent School District. So again, for the 6th year in a row, I believe the total tax rate is the same. However, because of the increase in the average taxable value, there's a nominal tax impact of $26.91. Please keep in mind that these are based on preliminary property values. We'll get our certified values in July. So when we come back to you in August to officially adopt a tax rate, the tax impact will probably be a little bit smaller than this. But we have to publish this based on what we get from the Central Appraisal District. And then you also have the rollback rate, which is $1.324354. That's the maximum tax rate that the governing board can approve without having to go through a rollback election, what's called a tax ratification election. So what you have there is certainly the information on the proposed budget for fiscal year 17-18, as well as the proposed tax rate. Are there any questions from the governing board with respect to this budget tax rate? So, Mr. Guerra, since this is a public hearing, we are required to solicit input from the community at this time.
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez?
I would like to commend you for the work you've done. For 4 years, we have kept the taxes low, and we saw fit that we grew, and we managed the money from the people in a very, very good way. I thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I do want to thank my staff, Susan Olson and her staff, as well as certainly the cabinet and Dr. Espinosa. I think this is a total team effort.
For 6 years.
And also through your guidance, we've been able to keep this tax rate.
Mr. Guerra? Mr. Nara?
Mr. Reza, Mr. Gonzalez said 4 years, but I think I heard you say 6. Is it 6 years?
I
thought
believe
it was
it's 6. I mean, if you start going back to, I think, 2012, this is the start of the 6th year, it would be.
I have 4 on the board.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Are you up for re-election?
Mr. Reza, what I just heard is that Mr. Gonzalez is taking credit for 4 of the 6 years. Mr. Reza, going back to the, of course, there's lots of indicators, not just certainly the tax rate and the fact that we haven't been, and that we've been fortunate enough, due to, you and your staff's management, as well as, the leadership of the entire district, we've been prudent in how we use the resources of the school district. So we've been fortunate not to have raised the income tax, but, the property taxes. Sometimes there's organizations who can do that to their detriment as well, but looking at the ratings, those are fairly high. I think the Moody's rating is the third highest rating that you can get there, and then the Fitch is the second highest rating. So not only are we being fiscally prudent, but we're also stable, and according to the rating agencies, our bonds have a high potential for us to continue to pay because of our stability, right?
That's correct, sir. You're exactly right. And the fact is that they did note it on their publications that because of certainly the guidance of the governing board, as well as the way we handle our finances and the reserves that we have, as well as the flexibility with respect to the tax rate, there's a lot of upside to our district. And, the reason we can't really get more upgraded is because of the whole economy of the city is what it really comes down to. So I think it's something that it needs to be mentioned. So.
Okay, sounds good. And then lastly, Mr. Reza, usually we see, is it after the audit that we see, we're seeing sources of revenues here, but then how the district spends? That's in the annual report,
That's
correct?
correct.
Which is also found on our website. So if the community was interested in seeing where does the revenue go and how much of it actually goes into the classroom rather into administrative expenses, a great majority of it actually goes there. That can still be found on our website. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. We have the financial audit going back for the last 8 years on our website, as well as other information with respect to the tax rate and other information as well. With respect to who we pay, how much we pay for each vendor, there's a lot of information that can be gathered if they'll look at our website and see that information.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Reza.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing, so the public is invited to provide comment on the proposed budget and tax rate. Please note that the tax rate will not be adopted by the board until August, when the certified property values are received from the Central Appraisal District. Thank you, Mr. Dessa. Move on to 7
you, sir.
district reports. Mr. Ianton, facilities report, please. 7A.
Good evening, President Garrett, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board. My report will begin on page 11. The first project I'll be reporting on is, of course, the Aquatic Center. We are really coming to the end of this project and still working on the interior slide or interior structure, replacing the beams and the glazing, and then cleaning and painting that area. This is the area that was really rusted and damaged, and this kind of shows the picture. This is the area we're working on. The pools are functioning. We've got this area roped off, and this is the slide of the interior pool. The exterior pool slide is working, and they are using that. The fiberglass door that replaces the door that will lead into this has been ordered, and it should be coming in and installed, and that will wrap up this project. The next project is the HVAC project at Socorro High School. This has drug out a little bit because everybody seems to be busy on other projects, neighboring districts project and stuff, but we finally got our plans about 95% complete. We're working with the city of Socorro and El Paso Electric Company. We have to provide a new service into that area, so we're working on that. should put this proposal out, and we will adjust the completion time once we determine what our proposals are. Hopefully here by next month or so, we will determine what our new completion for that particular project will be. The next one is, of course, the new elementary school. We are doing our due diligence, and we will be wrapping that up. That has to concern with the purchase of the property, and we are about 95% complete on the architectural drawings. Finally we got the survey and the topo, and we will begin a grading plan. Hopefully in July, the July board meeting, we will be bringing a guaranteed maximum price to the board for your approval at that time, so we can start construction. And the air just went off. I hope that doesn't mean anything. And of course, you've seen this plan, and we are working, like I said, to finalize the construction drawings and get it under construction. The next one is the Afita Chavez and Montwood Middle School outside air unit upgrade. Montwood Middle School is demolition is basically complete. 75% of the ductwork is installed, so we're actually ahead of schedule on the Montwood side. Now we're moving over to the elementary side, or Chavez's side, Afita Chavez's side, and the demolition is proceeding as we speak on that side, and you can see some of the demolition going in, and then how we come in there and clean up afterward. This project is really is ahead of schedule, and we feel very confident that this will finish on time. And our last project is the 2 kitchen remodels at Cooper and Rojas. We were a little bit behind on those because of the contractor was not manning up the project, but we had meetings with them the last week on both of those projects, and I was out at Rojas, what is today? Yesterday, Monday, and they manned up and are doing a lot of work out there. We're doing a lot of demolition. Don't have any pictures for that. And then those holes and where we're running the new plumbing and stuff are being filled in with concrete and stuff. So the roughing is coming along, and we should be okay on this project if they keep manning up and we keep the pressure on them, which we're doing. That completes my report. I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions?
I have a comment.
Mr. Gonzalez?
It has, you have the facilities kept up all throughout the district, but I just want to thank you we just had graduation, and they went flawless, and thank you to your staff, Gracie. Please congratulate all your staff. You guys did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. I have told my staff that they did an excellent job. Again, it's a team effort, but I'll let everybody know. It was directors and both child nutrition. We had support from the cabinet secretaries, and it went pretty smooth this time. So, thank you. I'll let them know.
Mr. Arrington, just considering 2 of the projects that you reviewed, the air unit upgrades, and of course with it being over 100 degrees outside, and it's going to continue so through, I think, next Friday, the air unit upgrades, that says outside air, does that affect it does affect our air conditioning system, right?
Yes, that's bringing in fresh air into it.
Okay, so just a little concern because, the design of the Socorro High School HVAC system you mentioned was a little behind because, of all the other work. Are we going to be able to keep that one and the kitchen upgrades on track, do you think?
Yes, once, like I stated, once we get the information from the Socorro project and determine the bids and stuff, and we'll be talking to purchasing here and to put out for proposal, we'll determine what our new timeline is, and then we'll do everything to expedite that. But in the interim, like we have done before, and I know y'all receive calls, if you go on the tour tomorrow, you'll probably see some big fans in the hallways, to help alleviate the heat and everything that has been happening in the last few days.
Yeah, but the other ones as well, those will stay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
be ready for when school
Yes.
starts?
We're actually, the staff is going on a early work shift. We're starting our employees at 6 o'clock in the morning and working them 6 to 3 in order to, help out on the heat and stuff.
Right.
But of course, if there's emergency and stuff, we'll respond to those.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.
Next item, consent agenda. Are there any items any board members like to have pulled?
Mr. Guerra,
Yes, sir.
6D, 7A, and number 8.
6E,
6 Delta,
D.
D,
D as in Delta, 7A, and number 8.
anyone else?
Motion to approve.
President Guerra?
Go ahead, Mr. Reyes.
First of all, I'd just like to note for the record on consent agenda E2, the maximum amount listed on the agenda, that should be $1,752,205. That's the amount that's in the backup. That was the amount that was discussed yesterday in finance. It's a typo, and we just want to note that for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, and President Guerra, administration would like to postpone item E7A. E7A. We will be obtaining additional information, and we'll bring this item back at a future board meeting.
E7A.
E7A.
So 7A is out, okay.
Motion to approve, excluding the requested items?
Second.
There was a motion by Mr. Nahara, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So we'll go on.
6D.
6D.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nahara, second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And I abstain, I work for the college.
Item 8.
I had a question on that, Mr. Guerra, or wanted to clarify something.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Ms. Farmer, we spoke about this a little bit before the meeting. I had some concerns on seeking out dual credit from University of Texas at Austin when we have ongoing agreements with both community college, and currently we have a large volume of students doing dual credit, and this in fact is going to cost money for us to be able to obtain this. And I was wondering, my question to you is, are the local universities and colleges aware of it? And you tell me that they are, but we still need further information.
Yes, sir, and I'll be glad to provide that information, but El Paso Community College is in partnership with the University of Texas at Austin as well on this particular program, but I can find out how they're in partnership with this program.
One of the significant concerns I have here is that this program is designed for students that have not passed the TSI.
Yes.
And I would hope that as a school district, we would invest more money in trying to get those marginal students to pass TSI for their future university career and college career, that they've actually met that standard. And so this is going to cost us money. I was hoping we'd invest more money in making them able to move forward with that, rather than, it kind of seems here like maybe we're circumventing the wheel a little bit here and finding a way to get students into dual credit without passing TSI. And as we know, the local rules with EPCC is, once you've taken and passed a dual credit course, you're not going to have to take TSI again, provided you get still in a certain amount of hours. And I think that kind of, to some extent, potentially, may send the wrong message out to our community. So I realize that timeliness is an issue because we do have a school year starting, but I certainly at least for my part, would like to get more information on this in the future, but since there's a timeliness issue, I don't know how the other board members will feel if they have other questions, but I would be interested in approving this item as a one-year trial basis while we gather data to see where we're going to go with this, because I'm a little concerned about circumventing the TSI if the welfare of our students later will be impacted as they go to Harvard, MIT, UT Austin, because we didn't hold them to that, and maybe we didn't provide the resources in that area.
So the one thing that I did find out after hearing your questions a little bit ago, actually, the only students that would qualify for this particular program, they have to show that they have met interventions. So through some of the resources that we provide interventions with right now, they have to have met those interventions. And for example, the reading TSI, a student has to score a 351 on the TSI to be admitted into dual credit classes. For this particular program, as you know, it doesn't require that. However, we would screen the students that have completed not only the interventions, but that they scored anywhere between a 346 and a 350, because these are very small classes. We do not want to have a whole large group of students taking these classes, because we do want to make sure that they're ready and prepared.
And so I would be interested to look at this, because that's the second reason here. If we're going to set up these small classes, there's the cost of teachers and facility and so forth. For a small group of people that is very close to passing TSI, that hopefully we could get them to do that, and we're going to incur that expense, plus the expense of this program. This is not one of the free programs like we currently enjoy from El Paso Community College. If this board was to approve it for a year to try it out, is there any harm in that while we gather more information, maybe in the future extend it?
Well, we would appreciate if the board approved it so that we can see if this program will help our students and give all of our students more opportunities, but we do have to monitor it to make sure that it's worth it.
1 year, but I don't know if the rest of the board members have other questions first.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Mr. Yu was talking that there was going to be a cost, yet in our information, it says no cost to the district.
I know that there's a cost for professional development for this program. This teachers, I believe, go for, is it 1 week to University of Texas at Austin and to receive the training for this. That's all I'm aware of right now.
So, and I'm sorry, and I guess the question is, if we don't have enough information, if we don't have all the information to be able to make an informed decision on this, is this truly something that we want to, I mean, cost for professional development for a week, what is that going to be, what is that going to cost? The cost of having the teacher in the classroom?
The room and board for the week, which I believe they stay at UT, at the campus, and just the travel to get there.
Mr. Nahara. Ms. Nahara.
Ms. Farmer, how many staff are we talking about?
We're talking 4 campuses, 1 staff member per campus.
Thank you.
Mr. Nahara?
Ms. Farmer, I also see in the addendum to the MOU, well, first, before I get to that, is this a program not offered by UTEP? I mean, why go all the way to Austin if UT is here?
Yes, so this actually, we get lots of offers and, many things come through. And we looked at this, we inquired about it. I believe, what is the gentleman's name? Okay, so we spoke to a Dr. Dieter at University of Texas at Austin. So it's, as we read through it, it sounded like this would be something good that we can offer our students so that as they leave here to have on their transcript, I mean, University of Texas El Paso is nice to have as well, but University of Texas at Austin is also nice to have. It's another opportunity for our students. UTEP does not offer something like this. At the time, I believe this is actually a grant as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, and then it also says that that PCARP prefers teachers to come to the UT Austin campus for workshops, but they also understand that that may not always be available, so we can also explore, according to this addendum, teleconferences and/or video conferences, right?
Yes, so in the original contract, it was where our teachers would go in the fall, or in the summer, and each semester. They are requiring us only to go during the summer, and then we will do teleconferences, the other ones. Yes, sir.
Okay. And then also, regarding the cost at, how many students are we expecting total, do you think?
Tops, like maximum 30 students per class.
Okay.
So approximately
Because
120 students
30.
So 30 students per instructor or 30 students?
per instructor. Only one class per campus, so yes.
Okay, because it does state that there's a $300 fee per enrolled student in the MOU.
Okay.
So,
So that's 120 students. We've got 4 campuses and 30 students.
That's $300 apiece.
Yes.
so
There's
about-
no
is
textbook
300
cost.
and
There's no text.
3.6
I'm sorry?
or 360? It's 3.6.
36,000. 36,000.
So that's the finance guy. 36,000?
You need my
Okay.
fingers to count? I got fractions.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know, and I also did say, you know, I agree with Mr. Ayub, you know, that of course, I certainly have confidence that you all wouldn't be bringing to a program to us if you didn't have faith that would benefit our students and had not done the due diligence behind it as well. You know, but I also think it's incumbent upon us and you all to make sure that the program is successful and
Yes.
delivers upon what, you know, the promises it makes, and it achieves the outcomes that are intended. So I did note, and it does comfort me to see that the original term of the agreement is one period. It says beginning July 2017 and it ends June 2018. So at that point, I guess we would have the ability to extend it if we so choose, but that would require action from us. It wouldn't happen
Yes, sir.
automatically.
That is
because it does
correct.
end on June 2018. So, okay.
Mr. Guerra? wanna follow?
Mr.
And just to clarify for the record, so that we have the issue with this class is that the teachers that we are going to be utilized are not master's trained teachers and actually are acting as facilitators.
They
to
are.
a curriculum that once every 3 weeks or so, they'll get a teleconference from a professor out of UT Austin to the students. So our teachers are not dual credit teachers, they're basically facilitating this
They're
curriculum.
facilitating, and as they work through with UT Austin for their training, yes, sir. You are correct.
So if this contract is for 1 year and probably worth looking at it is to see how it works, I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Ayub, second by Mr. Nahra. Any discussion?
I do have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
We hold a lot of confidence whenever we read our agenda, read through it, that if it says no cost to the district, that's what it means. And this is misleading for us.
Okay.
And so, you know, if there is a cost associated with it, I'd rather know about it up front. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
nothing further.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. One opposed, Mr. Gonzalez. New business number 9A. Consider approval of 2017-18 school district budget. Mr. Reza.
President Guerra, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board, the administration recommends approval of the proposed budget for the general fund, the debt service, and child nutrition program by fund and function as submitted.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Ayub, second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any discussion?
Mr. Guerra,
Mr. Ayub.
you want to go first?
Mr. Nahra?
Thank you, sir. Mr. Reza, earlier with regard to the budget, you mentioned the line item of the $0.8 million for the rate case. I know that I recently read that the city also denied that as well, but that doesn't just close the door, right? The potential's still there. They are still carrying it forward, and so
That's correct,
in
sir.
spite of the fact that there was a rate increase last year, we're still again, subject to that increase of $0.8 million, or what is it, almost 1.2 in 2 years?
So, yes, sir. So we're budgeting an additional $800,000, and I think last year we budgeted almost the same. So you're looking at about $1.6 million budget impact for the last 2 years because of this rate case.
Okay. And we know that, of course, last year it was successful, so not only did we budget it, we had to spend it as well.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr. Rissa, I know that during the public hearing, this comment was made, but I do want to say, sitting with Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Nájera on the Finance Committee, I know particularly this year, the budget has been fairly agonizing for you and your staff. Yet one more year, we pass a budget without increasing taxes to this community. I think a lot of taxing entities really should follow your example in working very hard to try to live within our means and within our needs and growth. So I know that this was a difficult year. Healthcare has been tough in order for us to fund, yet you were still able to find enough money to give raises to our staff and maintain the budget. So certainly, I want to congratulate on the leadership of Dr. Espinosa and all of your staff over in finance. I know it's a team effort and everybody works, but certainly you, Ms. Olson, and the other members of your staff worked very hard. I know it was a tough year. I know we're going into a difficult year, but I'm hoping we continue to do such a great job that you all set an example for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you for that, guy.
Do you have a motion?
Yes, sir. we did.
Who made the motion? Was the motion
I made the
for you?
motion, yes, sir, and Mr. Nájera second,
A motion-
and we were in discussion. Oh, Ms. Rodriguez second.
That never happened to me.
Ms. Rodriguez? I have a motion by Mr. Ayub, second by Mr. Nájera. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Rissa.
Thank you, sir.
Glad you're back.
Item 9B, consider approval of decommitment of fund balance from the district internal funds to the general fund balance. Mr. Rissa.
Yes, President Guerra, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board, tonight the administration is requesting consideration and approval of the attached resolution to decommit $180,000 of fund balance from the district's internal funds, fund balance, and place them in the general fund for the purpose of providing student scholarships. These funds were generated prior to 2016 from the cell tower rental contract, which stipulated that these funds would be for student scholarships. It is the intent of the administration to segregate these funds for the aforementioned purpose. Asking approval to approve this resolution.
Mr. Nájera.
So, Mr. Rissa, if we don't do this, then we are out of compliance with the agreement that had been in place, right? This was just something that we, after reviewing the contract, in preparation, I think it was, for other cell tower contracts, we found this stipulation, and so this is something we've already agreed to. We just need to decommit the funds so that we stay compliant with that contract that has already been approved.
That's correct, sir. That's exactly correct.
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Nájera, second by Mr. Nájera. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rissa. Next, item 9C, consider approval of revisions to local policy. Ms. Macias.
President Guerra, Dr. Espinosa, members of the board, administration recommends consideration and approval of revisions to the following local policies, FDB and GKA as presented.
Mr. Ayub.
Ms. Macias, I know I spoke to you about these policies and also to Ms. Crozet. I also spoke to Ms. Nájera on the phone to get some guidance on kind of some of the discussion. Under policy GKA, I really have no concerns there. I understand why we're trying to clarify that language so that it's clear to the community. But on FDB, I do have a couple of concerns. One is when we refer to those categories of students that will be bused to particular facilities, my understanding in the past when we've discussed this in CNI is that yes, if some students were going to, I don't know, welding or automotive or so forth, and if there was a bus going in the room, they could go on there. But now by including it to this policy through the reg, we're committing ourselves to that busing. And I realize today we have enough vacant seats, but in the future we may not. And so I was wondering, when did we make a change on that? Is this the time now? But it looked like the reg had been changed some time ago.
Correct. The regulation has been in place. What we have done is updated the actual CTE courses that have qualified for the transition from one campus to another. We already have routes from every single high school to other magnet programs. And you're exactly correct. Right now, our 72-seat bus has had plenty of space for that transition, so we don't foresee the need in the future. And those CTE courses are limited, so from Socorro or from Americas to Socorro, you might have 2 students transferring over. It is not, the impact is not that great for the CTE courses. But Ms. Crocet, do you have any?
Yes, that's, and Ms. Macias is a little taller than I am. That's what we've seen historically, at least for the time that I've been here. The last 2 years, the numbers have stayed steadily, and they have not increased for the programs that we have.
The other part of this, well, first of all, you have a new statement on there that says, Socorro ISD does not offer open enrollment. And I'm supportive of that because we exist for our children, our taxpayers, the benefit to provide good education. I don't want to get too philosophical here, but I really do believe we're in the business of quality education, not volume, not numbers. And so as long as we can do that, and don't get me wrong, I will fight tooth and nail for our students to remain here because this is the best place for them to be. But beyond that, I think other things need to be done. Pursuant to that, under the intra-district transfers, you've added on there, inter-district transfers, you've added the statement that people can have an intra-district transfer if they're accepted into the IB program. And so these programs that we have, HBA, IB, Libertas, these are elite programs that we have expended a certain amount of effort and a substantial amount of funding to make sure they're available to our kids. And we've just talked about the budget. We work very hard to make those programs available to our kids. And when we open a program like this to the outside, it really is a problem because now we have other students that are going to displace our students. I think the IB program has had a little bit of a roller coaster ride. I really would like to look at Dr. Espinosa and you all's leadership in trying to enhance the recruitment for this program for the benefit of our kids. Facetiously, or unfortunately, maybe sarcastically, or I don't know how we want to phrase this, I was thinking the other day, it's really hard to believe that under the, 12,000, 30, however many thousands high school kids we have, we cannot generate 120 students to start into this elite program that has a phenomenal reputation nationally and internationally. And we want this program for our kids. I realize that this year the enrollment is down, and if there really is a need to be able to fill some seats for cost effectiveness on a temporary basis, even that I may be willing to personally, I know there's 7 of us, but personally to agree to a temporary type of thing. But if we agree to that, then that doesn't belong in the policy. That belongs as a separate issue, and I may need some guidance from our legal counsel because I don't believe we can do 2 motions on the same policy. But I think the IB statement needs to be removed from here, and if we need to, for a year or a 2-year period of time, allow for some students from the outside to stabilize enrollment while we work internally to improve that, then I would be okay. But that temporary measure with a time limit shouldn't be a part of this policy, should be a separate thing. Once we've got it into this policy, I'll tell you what my concern is. There's nothing to stop us for people to come back later and say, well, guess what? Libertas enrollment is down. We've done it for IB, let's do it for them. Guess what? HBA enrollment is down. We've done it for them, let's do it for them. And these programs are elite programs that are designed for our children. We've worked very hard in this district. You all have worked very hard in this district to have these programs. I don't want to just open these programs. And so that's my concern here. We can't just open this program. If we have a temporary enrollment problem here, I would like us to maybe address that as a temporary measure, not including it into a policy where now we've opened this enrollment. By the way, when we do this, we've got a liability with these students for 4 years because we're looking at freshmen and now we're stuck with them for a period of time. We have done temporary open enrollment on some issues. We did it with Eastlake, but we set a time limit when we requested that. This open thing on these elite programs, I'm not very supportive of that. And if you all think that we could do this temporarily, I'd be a little more supportive than putting this into a policy and opening a program. These programs belong here and belong to our kids. And if other people want them, this may sound cruel, but they need to live in this district because our taxpayers are funding this as well as you all working very hard to make these programs available. Because I just checked with the other districts as far as their IB programs. Do you all have a comment? I know I made more of a comment than a question, but
Yes.
What do you think?
What I could speak to is the fact that the inter-district transfer, we do have to have it in place because whenever we have anybody apply, these are the guidelines that we follow to allow any student outside of our boundaries to come in. Currently, we have 3 categories, so we're adding the 4th. So therefore, removing it from here, it would limit our ability, because everything that we, and now it's online, we follow the criteria, and this is the policy that we refer to. So if you wanted to add a timeline, my recommendation is we could put inter-district transfer category shall be reviewed during the 2018-19 school year, and we could add that to it, but if not, it won't give us the ability to approve that external inter-district transfers that we have in place.
We've done that before with East Lake. We set a temporary timetable to allow open enrollment so we can get through those first couple of years. We can do it as a separate thing. It doesn't have to be here. We can do it as a separate policy, because we did it with East Lake. And once we put it in here to be reviewed later, it's too ambiguous. And so it can be done. Do we choose to do it? It's a different issue, but it can be done. We've done it before.
I'm sorry, Mr. Would it be a separate policy?
What would it be?
How did we do it with East Lake?
How did we do East
Okay, it would be the same, but what would it, can you give us some guidance? I'd like to put a time limit on this, Ms. Nájera, if we can. You know, it's a temporary measure rather than open enrollment and an IB forever.
But
Thank
could
you.
we add the time limit to this policy?
I'm not sure how we do that, because I
Mr.
don't think we can
Blanco.
do 2 motions on the same item.
Board President Guerra, Dr. Espinosa, Board Member Steve Blanco, Legal Counsel for the district. You can make more than one motion with respect to an agenda item. So we
Okay.
can massage the language and the policy to what you want. I'm not sure, though, that I follow the idea behind adding language to the policy to limit it for 1 year, so you would only accept outside district transfers to these programs for a 1-year period? Is that
Well,
what
it's
the
to the
board
one
is?
program, Mr. Blanco, the IB program. And it could be 1 year or 2 years. I know it takes a little bit of time to stabilize enrollment, and we're in the middle of already of registering. So I would be okay with a 1 year, 2 year. I just don't want to leave this open so that it becomes part of a policy that's an ongoing process. Even if we do it 2 years, we've got a liability of students for 5 years.
So if you are only going to address the IB program, you would have to add language beneath this section. If you're following the policy, you see the lines for the inter-district transfers, and right beneath that, you could add language that would say, with respect to the IB Advanced Academy program, enrollment will be limited to, and then specify the school year that you want it to be. You can always bring the policy back at a future date to review it, update it, revise it further if you want to, but that's going to be up to the committee and the administration to
Yes, and that
bring back to
becomes
the
hard.
board.
That becomes more of an active project. Is it possible to do a motion, and if a motion passes, accepting this policy, deleting the statement, the IB program, and do a second motion saying that we would like to open the IB program for a period of 2 years for outside enrollment as a separate motion?
Within the same policy.
Addressing
talking
within the
about-
same policy, yes.
Yeah, we were talking about one policy.
One
Yes, you
policy,
could-
2 motions.
You could do that because you're adjusting the same policy and that's posted on the agenda.
And then that way, this policy is clean, IB is not there, and within the same policy, we have a motion allowing the IB program to allow outside students for a period of 2 years to stabilize enrollment.
So you're going to add language to the policy with the second motion.
That would be
That-
fine, but it's a separate statement that'd be easier to delete.
You can do that. Yes, sir.
And that's my question. I don't have a motion yet, because I think there may be other questions.
Mr. Guerra?
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yeah, Mr. Blanco. Instead of making it like Mr. Ayu says, 2 years, can we make the statement depending on our enrollment? And that would dictate whether we accept or not?
At what level are you
I
satisfied?
mean, whichever one that we need to meet the requirements of a district.
I'm not sure the administration would be able to predict that number or deal with it over a period of time. It'd be better if you had a hard limit on it. That might be something that requires you to act again in the future, as opposed to just kind of waiting to see if they feel like they've got enough. What one person might think is enough, another person might think is not enough, so that'd be harder.
Okay.
Ms. Nájera?
I feel like limiting years to it gives administration also the time to see if having open enrollment for the IB program will be successful for the district, or at that time, after the 2-year period, we will be able to judge that a little bit better, and we can remove that part of the policy if need be at that time.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so I'm going to make a suggestion then. The language that you have here, it says the 4 categories for inter-district transfers are employees' children, grandparent after-school care, acceptance to International Baccalaureate IB Advanced Academy Program and DSC approved, subject to the conditions below. And then we will add the conditions that you want, which will be for the IB program, enrollment will be limited for a 2-year period, beginning with the 2017-2018 term. And that would cover the 2 years. And then you all are going to have to review this again in 2 years, or sooner.
Does that work?
That works for me, I mean, if you all can. Well, with that, I'd like to make a motion as stated by our legal counsel.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Ayub, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion? Ms. Nahara?
I have a question. As part of this agenda item, we also have local policy FDB. I'm sorry, not FDB, GKA, that no changes were made to. Do we need to do a separate motion for that policy?
That was revised. Oh, yes, yes, please. Approve GK, yes, please.
You can go ahead and finish this one, and then I'll do it.
Motion by Mr. Nahara, motion by Mr. Ayub, second by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion?
No, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Now can we get a motion for GKA?
Motion to approve policy GKA.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Nahara, second by Mr. Nahara. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item, 9D, consider approval of renewing the air monitoring site agreement for Wake Elementary. Mr. Arrington.
Yes, President Guerra, Dr. Espinosa, and members of the board. My report is on page 140, 141. If you recall, 5 years ago, I presented a recommendation by the Texas Commission on Environmental Control, TECQ, to provide an air monitoring site at no cost to the district at Waco Elementary School. That initial term was 5 years. That is expiring, and the TECQ would like to renew that as is, no changes to the agreement. Administration recommends consideration of approval to renew the air monitor site at Waco Elementary.
Mr. Guerra?
Mr. Nahara.
Mr. Arrington, so this is coming before us because the 5-year agreement has lapsed. There's been no issues with the monitoring site and its existence there. We've even had the opportunity, some of the students from the school have had the opportunity to go out there and learn from the information available to or collected from the site, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah.
No issues, and they have gone out to the site.
Okay. Questions, motion to approve?
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Nahara, second by Mr. Gandara. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arrington. Item E, consider approval of 2017-18 board meeting calendar and agenda cycle.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Have a motion by Mr. Ayub, second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item F, consider approval of delegate and alternate for the TASA-TASB Convention Delegate Assembly.
I
would like to
nominate
I'd like
Ms.
to make
Cindy
a motion.
Nájera as the delegate.
Second.
Oh, there you go.
Do we have anybody else besides?
Well, the alternate, we need an alternate too.
How about an
We need an
alternate?
alternate.
I
Ms.
nominate
Rodriguez,
Ms.
I
Cindy
think Ms.
Nájera
Ms.
for
Rodriguez.
the delegate, and I nominate Ms.
Ms.
Angelica Rodriguez as the alternate.
That's what I get.
Anybody want to second it?
Second.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Nahara, second by Mr. Gandara, to have Ms. Cynthia Nahara as a delegate and Ms. Rodriguez as a alternate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Discussion? Motion passes.
Too late for discussion.
Next item,
Discussion after.
executive session. The meeting is to be closed for consultation with legal counsel to receive legal 3 appeal of HY and MT, to discuss personal and real estate matters, to consider administrative recommendations for assistant principal positions at various campuses, and to conduct the superintendent's annual evaluation under Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. The time is 7:17. The board is back from executive session. The time is 10:39. We're going to new business. 11A, consider approval of administration recommendations. Dr. Espinosa.
Yes, President Guerra and members of the board, at this time, administration recommends Frenda Cerda Gerardo to assume all the roles and the responsibilities as the assistant principal at Clark Middle School.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Ayu. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. B, Chester Jordan School.
Yes, President Guerra, members of the board, at this time, administration recommends Areli Mesa Hesiman to assume all the roles and the responsibilities as assistant principal at Chester Jordan Elementary.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Nahara, second by Mr. Nahara. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. Desert School.
Yes, President Guerra, members of the board, at this time, administration recommends Ms. Luz Arellano to assume all the roles and the responsibilities as assistant principal at Desert Wind.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Nahara, second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. Next one is Lujan Chavez Elementary School. No, I'm sorry, El Dorado High School.
Yes, President Guerra, members of the board, at this time, administration recommends Mr. Steven Fernandez to assume all the roles and the responsibilities as assistant principal at El Dorado High School.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Gonzalez, second by Ms. Nahara. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next one is Lujan Chavez Elementary School.
Yes, President Guerra, members of the board, at this time, administration recommends Ms. Belen Castillo to assume all the roles and responsibilities as the assistant principal at Lujan Chavez Elementary.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Nahara, second by Ms. Rodriguez. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Mountwood High School.
Yes, President Guerra, members of the board, at this time, administration is pulling this item from the agenda.
Myrtle Cooper Elementary School.
President Guerra, members of the board, at this time, administration is pulling this item from the agenda.
Socorro High School.
Yes, President Guerra, members of the board, at this time, administration is pulling this item from the agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Espinosa. Next item, 11B, consider and approve of superintendent annual evaluation.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Ayub, second by Ms. Nahara. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So there's no further business with this board. The meeting is adjourned at 10:42.